Thank you. All right, anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Amy Hopkins. I am your external affairs manager.
Sorry,
So, that's okay.
Introduce you sooner.
No, it's fine.
We haven't met.
No, we haven't. So, Mayor, Council, I'm Amy Hopkins. I am your liaison to 21st Energy and the city. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I started in this position a year ago, right when COVID hit, and so unfortunately I've not been able to meet quite a few of my communities. So I wanted to come today and introduce myself and let you know that I'm here and I'm here to serve you. I had met with Brian, and I had a part in putting the athletic signs up, and so it's been a true pleasure to meet others and work with you. So
Okay.
I have some cards.
Good. Pass those out.
Is the liaison, what would be, who has the relationship with you, Lori, as far as our city?
Amy.
Amy.
Yes, ma'am. I have a relationship with, that's fine. I have a relationship with all of you. So, I mean, if you find that you get an email from a resident, then, you know, you would call me and ask me to look into it and find out what's going on or what their question is. So I'll be your in-between so that way you don't have to call call center, you don't have to, you know, if the complaint comes to you, send it my way and I'll work with you.
And I always call the person in this position if there's something happens with our streetlights.
And it's been very helpful relative to outages that this office has, and keeping us abreast of, you know, even a little more detail than maybe you can get online. So First Energy has always been very responsive to us. Your predecessor was as well. Amy, luckily we have an individual on the west side who's had a series of outages and have just reached out to me, I think, to other council about the grid over there, et cetera. I referred that to Amy. She's already in communication with that gentleman. So immediately she got right on that, so we appreciate that as well. So.
It's funny you mentioned that, Paul. My brother-in-law came to visit us today, and he's from Cuyahoga Falls. And he said, oh, my wife, I don't know, you know, what was going on, but he said, oh, we haven't had electricity for 14 hours. He goes, I've lived there, you know, 35 years, and, you know, this is the first time, and they're going on, and I go, that's it.
Hello.
And we have generators. I mean, for a while in my grid over there at Dusty's, we were a couple times a year, we'd be on the peninsula and everybody around us had like, but I was like, one time in 35 years, you'll be okay. It'll be all right. You need some help, support, just call. That's what he said. He goes, man, you really had to rough it because they have, you know, city services. So it was kind of funny mentioning the outage.
Yeah, that was quite an ordeal this morning, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
No, thank you. If there's anything I can do, please.
So,
Yeah.
Amy, we welcome you with cupcakes.
Yes, well, it's for Amy.
Too late, I was already here at the beginning.
Although I'm sure the rest of the meeting will be very interesting. You are more than welcome to get on with you.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Right.
All righty. Anyone else? All righty. Again, we have the first reading, the second, third, or pending. Go on to the mayor's report.
All right. I got a variety of things, but we got folks here, and I'll just comment and try to give you as much of an update as I have. The lot split is at the county right now. That's the final step for them to approve that, and then once they do, then they'll be ready to close. I did not get you an answer yet in terms of the exact acreage. I'll have that certainly when it comes back from the county, and I just didn't chase it down yet. To that end, I know that's not what it's not what you guys want in terms of, or what you would prefer or think is best for the community. But in the event that remains the site, certainly we'll take a look and see if there might be some buffering. I don't know where these particular trees are. Maybe it's something that can be worked out. My intention is once I have a firm answer of the exact parameters, it's something we'll look at and see what's there and see if there's some way to work around that. In terms of going to alternate sites, it's going to be a little tricky. Some of the sites you mentioned, that's school property.
Right.
And the school was willing to donate this parcel, you know. And I guess I've got to keep in mind, this is a community asset. So it's not, well, the school's partnered in it in terms of donating land, and they have a whole lot of kids in the community that want to use it. And we believe the Coventry schools are in the same situation. They don't have tennis courts either. They travel as well, and we want to extend it. But that was kind of part of the purpose. But, you know, a larger purpose was just tennis courts in general, because those kids that are coming through school, we got a lot of people here that play tennis and have nowhere to play. And then the pickleball was the other aspect of it as well. And you're correct in terms of the comp plan, and people want recreation too. And so it's a tricky business. But we certainly will, when you think about Rollins and some of these other facilities, you got to take parking into consideration. We got parking there, and the parking is actually going to be expanded. So we're going to look at it, and I'll stay in communication with you. And I'll keep council advised as well before we go any further in terms of clearing.
Okay. And it doesn't need to go to zoning or anything to
Oh.
do with split? How does that work?
No, and I don't know what you went through over there on Dunning, but generally in terms of, no, that happens quite frequently with private property owners. So, you know, if a lot split's a lot split, it just has to be approved through the county. I mean, they have to do the survey, and you don't need permission for a lot split.
Oh, see, my interpretation was that, because
know
Barry,
better than I do.
yeah, I mean, Barry had told me that I think it was neighbors. My lot's kind of down at the end of Dunning, so there's not really anybody around there. So he told me that the closest, and I believe it was 6, because the one neighbor that was upset about me buying an extra acre was 5 neighbors away from me. So he said that the closest 6 neighbors on each side had to be notified by mail that of the intention of the split. So I bought an acre from my neighbor to make my lot larger.
Uh-huh.
And so people were notified halfway down Dunning Road from me.
I have no idea what the
No,
process
we
is.
don't have to, I don't know why they made her do that. I buy property and I'm within my borders, I can,
No, I did one myself at my
No,
house
but it was
many years ago.
a split. So I was, she was
yeah,
taking
it's
it.
only,
How long
it
ago
goes
was
to
this?
the engineer's office and then you have, new legals made up and,
Yeah, I did
That's the
that.
process that's going on right now. How long ago was this?
Almost 3 years ago.
I
And
know.
Barry said they thought they were gonna change the how that was handled, because it was kind of silly to notify somebody a half a mile away that somebody down here wanted to buy a piece, another piece of land
I have
and
no
add to
idea
their existing
What that was
land.
about.
I'm looking at Kelly.
Yeah, I have no idea what that was about.
Okay.
Was there any zoning change?
That's what.
Yeah, that's the only, that's where the public
Or
notice comes
building,
into
or
play.
variance.
A structure on the lot.
There was no structure, they're vacant lots.
I do many lot splits and I've never had to inform a neighbor.
Really?
Yeah.
Because these people all got letters.
Was there a hearing or
From
anything?
Barry, there'd be a hearing if there is a large structure being built,
There was a hearing, it came before the zoning
but
board.
not for a
Well,
lot
this is
split.
straight
You don't
lot
need
split?
approval for
I have
a
no
lot
idea.
split.
Out of curiosity, I'm gonna find out about that.
Okay.
Unless you're encroaching someone else's property.
No, I had 2.5 acres and I bought an additional acre off of a neighbor,
And you
and
were combining them.
I was combining them.
They did that to me too. I bought an acre off my neighbor and I had to sit here in front of the zoning department. They notified everybody around me.
Did that? Yeah.
How long ago was that?
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Mine had a variance though, because I was,
Well, yeah, if you're
so
doing
that's
something
right.
different.
That's why I was wondering, maybe I went
That,
further.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's a variance, then it does have to be noticed. All right. Meanwhile, fabulous Oktoberfest. And hats off to the staff here that worked on that. Christine and Katie worked real hard on it, and everybody pitched in. Susan got us the credit card readers so people could use their credit cards. I mean, well over 1,000 people. Great weather and great participation, and it's what we want out there, And I think we've really laid a good foundation for the future, because the word of mouth comes. And we had a nice financial return in terms of the beer sales, and generated another couple $1,000 that would go towards hosting the events that we have in the future. So we're really pleased, and got a great group working out there. that Tudor House Commission volunteers. You guys see them in action, they just pitch in, so it was good fun. I've advised you folks, but pleased to advise that Green did approve the Republic piggyback. And so we have, that now went to the law director, and he's dealing with Republic, and they're putting together a contract for us. So that's going to be, it's as you know, and we appreciate your support, that we're not going to have to switch vendors. And there's a price increase all over, but our price increase is less than, we're going to come in at $16.64, and Talmadge is $17.23, Kent's $17.23, Hudson's $18.72. Barton's 19, so we got a very economical rate by pursuing the piggyback option. And we thank our neighbors in Green for being such good neighbors to let us join in that. I want to mention again, stop sign at Cumberland Vanderhoof, and that community has reached out to us a number of times and asked about that. We've looked at it, and we did some traffic studies, we did some speed studies that wouldn't have necessarily supported a four-way stop there. I will tell you, I've driven it a lot of times in the past, but I've driven it not recently. And I will say this: when you're coming up Cumberland, and it comes right at you. So I've got second thoughts on it, and I'm going to talk to Brian, but I think it's something that's worth considering there. And it's not, we can't put one everywhere that somebody wants one, and they're not designed to dictate speed issues. But on the other hand, we really haven't had so many people come ask for them. And the last one that we did, everybody's pretty happy with over there in that neighborhood on Perlman. So we're gonna look at that again and perhaps go forward with that. So I'll keep you advised. Trick or treat is Friday, October 29th, from 6 to 8 p.m. in the Manchester School District. And that's not a city deal. The Manchester schools decide when they're going to have that. And they're having it Friday, October 29th, from 6 to 8 p.m. If you go to our website, there's a posting of the other communities in the area, some of the other neighborhoods that have trick or treat at different times. We got those posted on our website. You guys are aware that the water levels are down. And they will be down, they'll be down until November 15th, and then they'll start raising those again. I did see one or two pontoon boats but I think people knew that, and they just leave them there. And
We
come back up.
them in the water yet.
It's no big deal.
Push them out.
Oh, okay. We have Speedway as up for a renewal of their liquor license. And as with all renewals, council is asked as to whether or not they want a hearing. And basically for purposes of contesting the renewal of the permit. I sent that out to council, nobody indicated that they were requesting a hearing. And if that's the case today, our clerk will be able to advise the Department or Division of Liquor Control that no hearing is requested. That's the current consensus.
Mhm.
Okay. So we'll advise them.
But Paul, you did a good job. Any issues that arose during the summer, when we came in on Mondays, we all had calls, we all had voicemails or emails, and you addressed them right away. And I think somebody said that you were tough but fair in dealing with the establishments.
I appreciate that.
So I think you did a good job in keeping it relatively quiet when it could have escalated. And you made them implement some controls that I think helped, because had you not stepped in, I don't think those things might have been done that quickly. Good, and they're good bar owners, they're good community citizens, and I think that just everybody wanted to see the right thing get done, and they did.
I appreciate that. I think it was.
And the bar owners too that were affected.
Yeah. Thank you. The healthcare committee will meet next week. We're pinning down a date. It's either going to be Monday or Friday, it looks like. We have had all the presentations from the three vendors. The fourth vendor came in and really wasn't able to have time to make a proposal, but we're meeting with them as well, just for some general ideas.
Is that Ken Jones?
Yeah.
Okay.
I expect that we'll have a recommendation out of the healthcare committee. If not following this meeting, then the issue is going to be, do they have follow-up questions? If not, if so, we'll schedule another meeting soon, but I think we'll have a recommendation from them within a couple weeks. And when we do, I'll pass it on to council with all the information, and then we'll make some decisions going forward. And lastly, this is fun. Deanne Boyer, and I think that's how she pronounces her name, Boyer Lozoya, reached out to us a month or two ago, back in July. Dear Mayor Adamson, my dad, Mr. Dinon Boyer, and I'm probably butchering that name, and I apologize, has been a resident of New Franklin since 1965, 6282 Terrace Hill Drive, in the same home. And this October 26th, he will be 90 years old, and she wanted to know if we sent special greetings, and I told her that we'd be happy to commemorate his birthday, and I will say publicly that we'll be happy to commemorate, and I'm serious, you know, if you turn 90, let us know. We want to honor you, especially long-term residents. I was just talking to a lady, and I said, do you want me to publicly, say happy birthday? She said, no, really nice lady, who also is turning 90 this weekend. And Mr. Boyer has been in the same house for 56 years. Let's see, yeah. She'd been in her house for 63 years. Which is what's nice about this place. People that come and stay. So I will, they're having a birthday party for him on Sunday, and I'm going to drop over on Sunday and deliver a proclamation, and the proclamation will say, the city of New Franklin honors Dinon Boyer in recognition of 90 years on the planet Earth, the last 56 in the same house at 6282 Terrace Hill Drive, whereas Dinon Boyer will celebrate his 90th birthday on October 26, 2021, and has been a faithful and contributing member of this community since 1965, all while living in the same house at 6282 Terrace Hill Drive. And Mr. Boyer's family has brought this to our attention and asked New Franklin to help celebrate. We now honor Dinon Boyer for his years with us as a resident and join his family in wishing him a very happy birthday.
Very nice.
All right, thank you. And that's all I got.
All right, thank you. Move into finance.
Actually, I have nothing to report. We'll be doing what we do. Nothing new to report.
All good, all right, thank you. Old business? New business? All right, anybody have any questions for us? Anything we discussed at the meeting?
I do have one question.
Yes.
The tennis courts and the pickleball courts are supposed to be funded by a grant, correct?
Part of the funding would come from the grant.
Where does the grant come from?
We have one grant pending with ODNR, NatureWorks,
Okay.
and that would bring in, that's $150,000. So we're hopeful that pans out. And we also have an application for funding through Sherrod Brown's office. And each of the states, U.S. senators, and also the U.S. reps had the opportunity to recommend projects within their district. And so we reached out to his office, and his office included this process. We asked for $500,000 from that. That, I think, we'll find an answer to if and when the infrastructure bill comes out of Congress.
And if those trees are timbered out, who receives the funds from that?
We've talked about one possibility is that we work with a company that would do the clearing without charge in return for the timber. So there's that possibility. Whether or not, at one time there was you could actually make money on it, but we're not really. So far, we haven't talked to anybody who wanted to offer us money for it. We have talked to some that have said, we'll do the clearing if we can have the lumber. So, but I will tell you, no part of this had anything to do with trying to raise money by selling those trees. It's easy for me to say this, but I don't like to see trees come down. And, you know, I think we've been pretty careful as much as we can in trying to make sure those kind of things don't happen. I don't think I can't remember if we've been involved in any tree clearing, quite frankly. We did plant about 60 or 70 trees. We took advantage of from Summit Soil and Water. They offered to the communities the opportunity to plant trees. And we took about that many from them. Some of them are planted out here, some of them are planted at the Studer House. So we've been trying to be proactive in that sense as well, every time we have an opportunity.
But doesn't it make more sense to use a site that's already cleared instead of spending extra time and money clearing one site?
There's a lot of balance there. I guess that's you know, there's a thought from the Parks Commission and the Nets Commission, and again, it's unfortunate. Well, what can I say? You guys are here now, and people are listening, but a lot of people don't. You know, we put stuff on the website. Not everybody looks at it. We tell people, please check out our website. We started talking about this in October of last year. We asked people who were interested to join our Nets Committee, and they got together at the beginning of this year, and all of those discussions were had, and part of it had to do with where the city, what land the city was, or the schools were willing to give to us. But there is a school of thought that says that this is where it ought to be because this is a sports complex. This is a recreation complex, and when you travel around, you're going to see a lot of places that have all of these various things. So parking is lent to, there's more parking there. It seemed to be an unobtrusive spot that wouldn't bother neighbors because there's not a lot of noise that's going to come from the tennis court. You're not going to have people late at night. So we didn't think there was, and we're pretty far removed distance-wise from any neighbors. And it sits right in the middle of soccer fields and baseball fields surround it. So we didn't think about that aspect being intrusive. We're talking about trying to get a pavilion on that Sisler complex. We're talking about some permanent restrooms on that Sisler complex that would service all of those. And so from that sense, it seemed to make sense.
Well, there's already a soccer field on the far back right corner of the school's land. And I did ask some of the neighbors who do have kids who play in the soccer fields, does it get used? And they said it does, very rarely, but a lot of people don't use it because it's extremely wet. And when I said, do kids get like incredibly messy playing back there? She said, they do. There's really not great drainage. All of us neighbors that walk back there avoid that area like the plague because you're gonna sink right into the mud. And I think maybe that would be prime location. Because the soccer fields that are already there, depending on the ages of the kids that play, there can be 4 fields, like 4 different goalposts for 4 different sets of small children to play. And then for the older kids, you can typically fit another 2 on the other half of the field. So I don't think that losing that soccer field would be too much of a loss to the property itself. Plus the other soccer field is very secluded, covered on all sides by more trees, which might appeal to more people who maybe don't want everyone watching them learn how to play tennis for the first time if they're really horrible at it. I know I wouldn't want that at all. So the seclusion might be way nicer for a lot of people. And then I don't really know about a pavilion, but the walking trails and everything under the trees could be really nice for shade.
Thank you. Any other questions for us? All right, executive session, Mayor? All right, make a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Okay, our next council meeting will be November 3rd, 2021. We will do our committees at 6 o'clock. Thank you for that good evening.